would you rather just pick up extra shifts or like work these like extra hours, or you said you enjoy doing the work, so I guess it's kind of more rewarding to have this other source of income, especially since you said you have them paid off. You have the two in Pocatello completely paid off, correct?
We have one of them paid off. One paid off, and the other one still has a mortgage on it.
Okay, so you probably making a little money from that each month.
Yeah, it pays. The rents pay the mortgage for our current home and the mortgage for the one rental plus some extra. So it's great.
That sounds better than extra shifts.
So today's guest is Luke DeVoe. He is a flight nurse out in the West. I said the West because I don't remember where he was from.
He's in Idaho.
Yeah. Idaho, right? But I think he covers like a larger area. Montana,
yeah.
Just a big. We get into it. Yeah. Stick around and you'll find out. I need to re-listen to apparently.
Yeah, no, but he's out in Idaho and he's doing some cool stuff, flight nursing, which for me was kind of cool to hear because I was always interested in flight nursing, and I think it sounded like he was doing more fixed wing than helicopter flights, which again, if you know anything about flight nursing, or if you don't, it's all kind of interesting stuff, and talks about some of his real estate investments out there. And then now he's looking at buying a business. So a lot going on for him out there.
And we were introduced to Luke by somebody that is also a client of our business coach. And that just goes to show you need to be talking about what you're doing, because you never know who might find it interesting and who you might meet because of who you're talking to. All right, welcome to Investing RN. I'm Josh with my co-host Colin, and we're here with Luke
DeVoe.
Luke he's a flight nurse, currently still working as a flight nurse, and he started getting into real estate. We'll be diving into both of those things here shortly. Luke, tell us a little bit about your nursing career. How are you exposed to nursing in general, and what got you into the field?
So Andrew Udarian, whom you guys know, and who referred me to you guys. So I kind of got to give him a little bit of credit for my life. But when we were at Montana State University, we were late one evening walking, and he stopped and he said, "Luke, what are you going to do with your life?" I'd been kind of sinking in bad grades, lots of fun, lots of skiing. And he just kind of said, "What are you going to do?" I decided on nursing at that time because of my idea of what the schedule looked like. Oh, I'll only have to work three days a week, and the pay's great. All those kind of things were kind of attractive to me. And my mother was a nurse too. So my whole life had been telling me to do that. So I did CNA classes. I then moved to Pocatello, Idaho, went and got my LPN, started working as a LPN for 2 years while I worked on my RN. Worked as an RN for a couple of years, decided to get my bachelor's degree. And once I graduated with my bachelor's degree through school, I got an educator position for the intensive care unit that I was working in. Did that for about 5 years, and then had a little bit more time on my hands, wanted to do some other things, and took a flight nurse job this past year. So that's kind of my nursing background.
So you mentioned you're doing fixed wing flight nursing?
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Yeah, I work for Air Methods. The Idaho organization is Air Idaho Rescue. We have 4 helicopters and 1 airplane. I mostly work on the airplane, but I do pick up shifts on the rotors, as they say.
On the rotors. So what does the description look like? Like, how is it different from like if you were on the helicopter versus on the plane?
Yeah, plane is a lot of interfacility transfers. So we will fly into an airport, meet a ambulance, drive right in the ambulance to a hospital, back in the ambulance, airplane, another ambulance to a bigger hospital. So it's a ton of, usually one transfer takes like 6 hours to do. The helicopter is a lot more scene calls. You'll land right on top of somebody, shove them in your rotor, and then you land right on top of the hospital.
Okay.
And drop them off. So those are a lot quicker.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I've seen a helicopter pad on every hospital that I work at, but I've never seen an airfield for a plane to come in on.
Right.
Okay.
Is that something you had always wanted to do? Because for a while, I was interested in flight nursing, and I understood the requirements were pretty tough, and just like they're picking the best of the best kind of. So is that something you had always been working towards from the start of your career, or is that just something you kind of happened into?
Something I kind of always wanted to do. Honestly, everybody I worked with would have these horror stories about helicopters crashing, and they would say, I knew these people that died. And when I had kids, I decided, I'm not interested in that at all. Doesn't sound safe. Found out later that it's not that dangerous. And then this job on an airplane opened up, and those are much safer. They don't fall out of the skies often. So
Yeah.
I felt pretty good about that. And so to answer your question, it's something I had in the back of my mind, but built up some experience and had the opportunity to jump on board with Air Methods.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I remember in nursing school, I was in the ICU, and I remember the flight nurses coming in and just kind of watching them go through, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, the music, like as soon as the doors opened, the music started playing every time.
like fighter pilots coming in to get a patient. I was like, wait, what do they do? And they're like, those are nurses. I was like, what? I didn't know there's like cool stuff to do in nursing.
Was there any extra training you had to do, or was it more just your ICU experience and like the experience of working in different areas of the hospital?
Yeah, so I'm gonna be honest. I went in a little bit cocky. I was, I've been in the ICU for like 9 years as an educator in the ICU. I thought I'm gonna be great at this job, but the piece that I wasn't expecting was there's a lot of maternal newborn. There's a lot of pediatrics. The ER is so much different than ICU care, which those things are all really foreign to me. And that was a lot of what flight nurse is adding. You have to be a jack of all trades on the airplane, and you got to be ready for really anything. So it was pretty humbling, actually. The training through Air Methods is really cool. They send you to Denver for a week. You get to interact with some of the best flight nurses in the world and paramedics. And they have a cadaver lab where you actually do procedures on cadavers for 4 or 5 hours. It's pretty impressive onboarding and training that they have.
So you're still currently doing this full time, or are you doing it part time?
Yeah, I'm doing it full time, which is 2 24-hour shifts. So I'll work 2 shifts a week, and then I got 5 days off.
Nice. And then how many flights, I guess, are you doing in that amount of time?
If you look at our stats, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that.
Oh, that's okay.
Well, I would say about a flight a shift, sometimes 2.
Okay. But you were saying those are could be 6 hours or something.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's a full day, basically.
Yeah.
And it could be at any point. It could be at 2 a.m. I'm sure you get a lot of those overnight calls.
Best is when you get off at 8 a.m. and you get a call at 7 a.m., which means you're going to be on shift for another 6 hours plus documentation. So,
man,
I usually don't plan anything the day after my shift because we've gotten stuck in Denver, stuck in Salt Lake, had to spend the night. So it's nice. It's working that extra shift, double pay for the entire time you're there. But
was it during this time that you became interested in real estate with these 24-hour shifts, a little bit of downtime? Did you start searching Zillow, or how'd you get into it?
So the real estate thing started way before I had my bachelor's degree, I believe. Kind of started with my wife and I kind of having, I don't know if this is the time to do it, but you guys have heard the Bigger Pocket podcast?
Yep.
Yeah. So I don't know if I should say that out. That might be a competitor for you guys.
No,
but
we're here because of Bigger Pockets.
Okay. So there's an episode, and I can't remember exactly, but Papazan was the husband and wife, and they did the kick-ass guide to a couple's goal setting retreat. And we kind of listened to that episode, and my wife and I, with encouragement from another buddy who was listening to the podcast, started doing these twice a year weekend retreats away from the kids. And we'd go through this kick-ass guide planning. And that really, with my wife and I kind of getting on the same page where we wanted to go financially, that was when we started to kind of move beyond just working, working the shifts. and starting into real estate.
And so roughly when was that? How many years ago?
So our first idea was to move out of the home that we were living in and buy a new home and rent the previous home. So what we did is we did that twice. So my first home, we kind of remodeled, bought a new home in a location of Pocatello that we thought I had some inside knowledge that the neighborhood was going to pop in value in the next year or so. So we chose that neighborhood and bought a house over there and just rented the previous house instead of selling it. And then we did that again once the value in that home that we were living in. We bought another home in Pocatello. So that ended up with two rentals here in Pocatello.
So you guys got kind of, I'm assuming it all went well with those first two?
Yeah. And when you say it went well.
Well, I mean,
it kept you going. You wanted to keep doing it.
We weren't sure how big we wanted to go. So two homes seemed good once we got to that point. I don't use any kind of rental management companies. We just do everything on our own, which I think saves us a lot. Those are here in town. I can do a little bit of work on the homes, but I also know when it's above my skill level. So plumbing, electrical, I'll just call them. But we list our homes on Zillow. There's the applications through Zillow that they fill out, and then we just kind of go through choosing our renters through Zillow, and then I think we use apartments.com. I feel bad. I kind of wanted my wife on here too because she's a huge reason. She's I'd say 60 to 70% of why we're doing what we're doing. But so we use apartments.com for managing the rents.
I definitely get that. My wife, again, Josh's sister, she's like the brains behind our side of the operation. She's like the one doing the bookkeeping and like we do all like the property management, and she's like totally organized on top of it. I'm just like all over the place. So I definitely get where you're coming from there. What?
Yeah, we give her a million ideas, and then she takes 5 good ideas and makes sure that they're organized.
She just says, "That's dumb. That's dumb. You're not going to do that."
That's awesome.
Yeah. But so, how does that work with you and her? Like, what are your roles that you guys have kind of fallen into with this real estate investing?
Yeah, she'll do the listings. We kind of share looking through the applications, and I'll call references and things like that. But she does most of the listing, making sure payments are coming in, and then I kind of take it from there. So kind of the interaction with the renters and any maintenance that comes up. That's all kind of on me.
Nice. Is she working as well full time, or is she kind of focused mostly on that?
She is working full time as a homeschool mom.
Oh yeah.
And then she does physical therapy. So she's a PT. She works with kids. So I'd say she works probably about 6 hours a week doing that, 6 or 7.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds like Josh's setup. Josh's wife, they have 3 daughters, and she does the homeschooling. So yeah, that is a full-time job of its own kind.
Yeah, her job's way harder than mine is.
Is there something like with this new? So I guess with the real estate investing, was that just kind of something you guys were looking to just supplement your income? I know you said you kind of were trying to decide how much of that you wanted to do. Have you guys dialed that in yet, or are you kind of just going along however it comes up?
I like where we're at because I can manage those 2 properties and do the rental maintenance myself. So, and they're both close. I guess there's a little bit more to our story. We have some family in Boise, Idaho, and we we own like 20% of 2 rentals over in Boise as well. So we've kind of, through this family member, kind of expanded a little bit more to some rentals over there. And we don't really do anything for that. They kind of manage everything over there. We just helped with down payments and part ownership there.
Okay.
We do have a little bit over there in Boise. They're growing, great investment, not as good as the ones we have that we own outright here. Plus, we got them before 2019, 2020. So their value went way up. And then another kind of piece of our journey is just recently we've been working with that same family member we're actually in process of purchasing a business that went up for sale. So we're kind of diving into that too.
Yeah, let's talk about that. But before we do, I'm kind of curious about these 20% ownership deals that you have. Like, did you fund the entire down payment, or did you kind of help out with it? Can you give us a little bit more details on those properties?
Yeah, so these properties and I don't know if I recommend doing this. It's kind of a family affair. So if you can find someone who's, a okay friend,
yeah,
that you could go do business with, it might be better. We've been doing great with it, but yeah, we kind of came together, decided on how much we could do a down payment, and due to some insider knowledge on some new builds, we were able to get in on a pretty nice build for a low price in a really, really nice neighborhood in Boise. And that value went way up. And yeah, so we all just kind of shared the down payment, and one person got the mortgage. So the mortgage is in one of the individual's names. And then we all just kind of funded the down payments on those two properties.
Okay. So you buy them both together at the same time?
It was about a year apart that we did that.
Okay. And are both properties, are they both kind of structured the same? Like you came with a certain percentage of down payment for the first one. It's kind of mirrors the second one.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. And what type of returns are you getting from those investments?
Okay. So these are the questions that I don't really know. Well,
but you see some cash coming to you every once in a while from them.
Well, we don't see a whole lot. I would say, it's for both of them, it's probably cash flow less than 10.
Okay.
So they're really slow growers.
I see. Okay. Was the plan to sell them, or are these you're going to hold on to them forever and the cash flow will increase later?
Yeah. Or hold on, principal down payment. That's not even the term. Principal pay down, equity, those kind of things. That's kind of our investing plan with those.
Okay. Now I've heard about Boise because apparently they've just gone through the roof in their prices. Did you get in before all that stuff went down and prices are like
on one of the properties? Yeah, one of the properties we got in before it went nuts there. The second one, and that second one we bought pretty high. Still working out. Rents are still increasing in Boise, and we haven't had any problem renting them. So they've been 12 months of the year occupied. So
great. Are you doing like shorter term leases or like a year long?
Year long. Okay. Yeah. They're single family homes.
Okay.
So
how are you finding the management of the properties locally? Do you find yourself spending a lot of time doing that, or is it decently minimal? Are you enjoying it, I guess? Like, is it worth the time?
Yeah, I enjoy the work. So I do enjoy, I actually just got back digging out a bunch of junipers and cutting limbs and things like that. So I honestly enjoy that kind of stuff. I'll take my kids with me, kind of show them how to work, things like that. So it's father-son, father-daughter kind of time. So, that I enjoy that. It's not a burden to me at all.
Is that their PE period for school? Did you have any other kind of investing you were doing prior to the real estate, or is this kind of your first venture into investing?
Yeah, this is our first venture, was those homes.
Nice.
Okay.
Is there anything you would change? Like, I guess, would you rather just pick up extra shifts or like work these like extra hours, or you said you enjoy doing the work, so I guess it's kind of more rewarding to have this other source of income, especially since you said you have them paid off. You have the two in Pocatello completely paid off, correct?
We have one of them paid off. One paid off, and the other one still has a mortgage on it.
Okay, so you probably making a little money from that each month.
Yeah, it pays. The rents pay the mortgage for our current home and the mortgage for the one rental plus some extra. So it's great.
That sounds better than extra shifts.
Yeah, it's so great. And my wife and I worked real hard to pay off that first home. And I don't know if that's wise financially. Like if you want to really scale, getting more rentals, I don't know if putting all your cash into one place is good. But for our story, it's been really nice to have that place totally paid off, and it kind of funds the next mortgage, and that mortgage funds our mortgage at our own home. So it's really been great.
Yeah. Everybody has different goals, and you can use whatever you need to get to where you want to be. And as long as you make your goals and you're very specific about them, it doesn't matter how you get there. You're just growing and building along the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how are you able to, I guess, manage your time between working? Because it sounds like your job's pretty intense, especially like working overnight sometimes. Like, how are you able to manage these rentals and your investments while you're still working full time?
My recommendation is to have a rental that doesn't take a whole lot of work. So I lived in these two homes for, a couple of years and was able to remodel, build them up to the point where I know them in and out. And so when my renter calls with something, I know right away, this is an emergency. I need to move fast and call somebody. And I've got a list of people that I just call. Or I say, we can take some time and I'll come and do that on my shift or on my days off. So, and honestly, the homes are, the one was built in the 60s, one was in the 70s. They're older, but they work well. They're good properties. So there's not a lot of maintenance, not a lot that comes up. The other thing that we do is kind of mentioned the me calling references. So kind of shifting to tenants. We almost got burned by not calling references one time on one of our rentals. So kind of last minute, we're about to offer to these tenants and I just thought, you know what, let me just call this reference. And I did. And it was very clear that he was lying, that one of the, and we decided to not go with them. And I saw that guy like 3 or 4 weeks later randomly, and he was kind of on the street with some of his buddies, and he was not acting in a way that I would want someone in my house. So I was really glad that at that last minute we called that reference. So one of the success things that has been really successful for us is we're patient with, we might go a month or so without a tenant when we do switch over, and just be super patient in finding that next perfect renter. And that's really worked out really well for us. And by managing it ourselves, we have control. I can call the references. We do the interviews. We can control who's in our homes a lot better than I've heard from like rental companies. They just want to get people in, and it works a lot better to do it yourself. A lot less work in the long run. That
sounds like a way better strategy. Colin already knows what I'm about to say.
I was going to say, let me stop you right there, because I think this is a good time. Just kind of circling back to the flight nursing, do you, I know without getting into too much detail, like what like an average day looks like, you're coming in, you're checking in. I know like it's not similar to, I guess it would probably be more like almost like a firefighter paramedic shift, right?
Yeah. So we try to show up a little bit early for our shift so that in case a call does come in, that night or the previous shift doesn't have to take it. So it's nice to show up a little bit early. We carry blood, and so we check our blood, and then we count narcotics. After that's a safety brief with a pilot, and then I usually go for a run, do a little workout. Actually, no, we check our bags. So we actually go through every single bag in the airplane or in the helicopter, just making sure we have all the little pieces of equipment. And then I'll go for a run, exercise, education, do some chart reviews. And then we just kind of sit around and wait for the phone to ring.
What if there's a call that comes in like pretty soon after you get there? You haven't had time to do all your checks and check your blood and all that. Does the previous team kind of help with that, or what does that usually look like?
Yeah, you're kind of relying on the previous team to, if they've come off of a call, to remember all the equipment that they've used and kind of get it out. So usually when we get back to the base, we will kind of make a list of all the equipment that we used and get it out right away, so that if we get a call, we can just grab that equipment, go back, and take another flight if it happens. So technically we're always ready, but it's good to go through your stuff, make sure that somebody didn't forget something.
Do you get a little more warning with the fixed wing transports versus the helicopter transports?
Yes, but yeah. So our transfers they're not urgent. So take that back. I shouldn't say it that way. They're urgent, but the patient's usually in a hospital. So the hospital that's if they're sending a patient and using the airplane, they know it's going to take us some time to get there. The thing about the airplane is if there's bad weather, if it's snowing, if it's raining, or socked in weather, helicopters can't fly. So we, in the winter and in bad weather, we are just flying constantly, and the helicopters just kind of sit. It's kind of seasonal. So in the summer, helicopters are working hard. We kind of sit around a little bit. In the winter, we're just going constant.
Okay.
Is the setup significantly different between the plane and the helicopter as far as this? I mean, obviously the space is, I'm sure, a lot bigger. Is it a similar setup, or what does that look like?
Yeah, all of our bags are exactly the same. The monitoring equipment, everything's exactly the same. So it's actually fairly simple to switch over from one helicopter to the next within our region. Can't say the same for other regions. You're going to have to be pretty good and go through your equipment and get familiar with it real fast.
Okay. So, and in a couple of hospitals that I've worked at, we've called for transport to be taken to a bigger facility, so I live in Green Bay. So I've worked in a few of the hospitals here around Green Bay, and we'll get some critical patients that need to go to either Chicago or Madison or Milwaukee or somewhere like that. And a lot of times space is an issue. Are you getting all the people that have a ton of equipment with them that the helicopters can't take, or what determines whether it's a helicopter versus the plane?
Yeah, there's a little bit of that going on. So if it's our program doesn't transport balloon pumps or Impella, we can transport Impella, but usually the bigger hospitals send their Impella teams. Okay. So we're always ready to do those transfers, but and are trained to do it. We don't do it just per policy at this time. Same for ECMO. So we don't do the ECMO transfers at this time. The hospital usually sends them, but we do help with NICU transfers. So they have gigantic, the big incubator, all of the ventilator stuff. And it's this 500-pound thing that gets loaded onto our airplane, and they'll send a NICU team with them for that. So that's a huge piece of equipment, and those won't fit in the helicopter at all. That's airplane only. Okay. We do have a bariatric stretcher, which our company just bought for us, which it's great.
I'm sure you're excited about that one.
That's going to be, that could kind of change our program a little bit, because there's not a lot of airplanes that have those bariatric stretchers. Yeah. So our airplane might be able to move, a lot more patient types with that new stretcher.
Does your team cover all of Idaho, or are you pretty local?
Yeah, well, so we fly Idaho, Montana, Wyoming. Those are our most common pickup places for those three states. And then we'll drop off in Idaho Falls or drop off in Salt Lake. Occasionally there's self-pays. So occasionally we'll have someone who winters in Arizona and summers in Montana, and they're, kind of sick, or their families doesn't feel safe driving them. So they'll pay for us to go to Phoenix, pick up a family member and drive them up to somewhere in Montana. So that does happen sometimes too.
What is the, you mentioned for the NICU patients, you have the whole crew come with you, but just on an average flight, what is your flight crew composed of?
Yeah. So it's on the airplane, we can do nurse and nurse. On the rotors, it's a paramedic and a nurse. So you have to have a paramedic for scene calls. State of Idaho, a lot of states require a paramedic to be present for scene calls. So in the airplane, it's mostly two nurses. We have some paramedics that work the airplane with us, and then the pilot. So it's just kind of the three of us working together to get these patients moved.
So you said you're about a year into it so far. You like it? Is it something you see yourself doing for a long time?
Yeah, I do like it. I like my team. We've got a really cool team to work with. I love the hours. The pay is better. I love the training and the challenge in that area. The things that I miss for sure are the patients. Patients on the fixed wing are not quite as sick as I anticipated. So, and I think that's different on a helicopter or on the rotors, but usually they're about med-surg level kind of transfers. We got a lot of small hospital transfers to bigger hospitals. So I do miss my ICU days with, Impella, balloon pump, ECMO, heart recovery, things like that. But it's a different challenge for sure.
Yeah. So I guess with that, is this, going back to the real estate that you guys are doing, is this something that you were looking to eventually replace nursing with, or do you kind of always plan on doing nursing with this as just a little side income for you?
Yeah, I do plan on sticking with some kind of career, whether that be nursing or not. I do love nursing. I do love the career. I've kind of found that I do go a little bit stir crazy with my 5 days off. And so it's nice having, like, I couldn't imagine, I don't know, if my real estate business was a little bit bigger, that would take up a lot more of my time, and we could do that. But I do like working. I do like kind of having somewhere to go to complete a job. It's my personality. Yeah. With more real estate, I think I could fill in that time and definitely
get some more real estate then.
Drop nursing. Yeah, I could definitely drop nursing as a full-time thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say you want more stuff to do. But
yeah,
if you want more, you just buy a couple more properties. It piles up quick.
Exactly. Yeah.
Does your wife have any interest in doing the real estate full time? Because you said she was kind of the main driving force behind it. Is she a little more into that?
No, she wouldn't want to do it full time. No. Yeah. We like to do a lot of different things. She also does reselling. So she'll do storage unit auctions, and she'll go to Goodwill and buy those pallets on auction full of retail that didn't sell, and she'll sell out stuff on Goodwill. So, or on eBay. So
that's kind of cool.
We kind of have, we have all sorts of different kind of income flows.
That's great.
When we do our taxes, we're kind of like, man, we gotta just a little more simple. But.
Yeah, I stopped doing my own taxes a long time ago because of that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a cool story.
Go ahead.
So, I was just gonna move on to the business.
Yeah.
But so you have 2 properties that you own yourself, and 2 other properties that you're part owner in. But then you mentioned that you're looking into buying a business. What is this business, and what drove you into looking into this?
Yeah. So this was this family member kind of had an in on a business that's going up for sale, and it's a cool opportunity because the person selling the business, I'm just going to keep this real vague, but they really wanted the buyer to take care of the employees there, and they wanted a local buyer. And so my family member was real close friends with the seller. We're kind of into the sport of this business, and so we have this really neat opportunity to buy a business for definitely less than it's worth, but with the idea that we are going to take better care of the current employees. Then,
how many employees does it currently have? Because it sounds like there's plenty of employees.
Yeah, it's less than 100, but more than 20.
Okay, wow. So it's a decent sized company that you're looking into. Wow. Yeah, I'm hearing a lot of this where the owner's getting older, getting up in age, but the children don't really want the business, and so I'm seeing a lot of, I'm hearing a lot of people coming into deals that the old owner, they want to sell it, and if it's for less than what it's worth, they just want it taken care of because their kids don't want it. So is this kind of a similar situation?
Yeah, I think that's kind of similar. I don't know why the kids don't want it, but yeah, I think the opportunity, and I don't know what to say to the listeners. Like this opportunity just kind of showed up, and I wouldn't know how to advise someone to say, yeah, you should go out and buy businesses.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know how to speak to that, but definitely this as an investment opportunity has just been really exciting. And I feel like we've been learning a lot more about business through doing this. And I wouldn't be surprised if this transitions me much more away from nursing.
Well, I was going to say
than just realist.
Yeah. What's your, well, one, was there like a reason why the people approached you? Is it because they knew about your real estate investing and kind of having some side hustles? And then two, what's it going to look like for you now taking over a business? Is that going to be a lot more involved for you on those 5 days off?
Honestly, the group that we're going together to buy this, I'm the least knowledgeable when it comes to business acumen. So I don't anticipate really doing much, but there is opportunity to do more if I wanted to. So we'll see. We're kind of in the beginning stages. You asked, what'd you ask? You kind of asked how, like, why did they approach me?
Yeah.
And honestly, I would say just because we have cash. We just have cash from our investments and are able to cash, and we're going to do a home equity line or like a little bit of a business loan to buy in for part of it, and family, right? So this is with that same family member. So they know us, they trust us, they know that we're going to be involved and engaged, whether the business goes well or not. So
does it kind of go back to just people kind of knowing that you've done some things and potentially have some cash because you own several properties? And I know that we, like, up until recently, we hadn't really talked to many people about what we were doing in real estate. But as soon as we started talking to people, like there's other people like, oh, I know a guy, like he needs like all of this, or like he has got a good deal over here. Like, just the more you talk about it, the more people kind of will approach you and know that even though you're in real estate, maybe not so much business, they know that you're doing things, and they might want to talk to you. And I don't know, it sounds like they want to sell you a business, even though you haven't bought a business before.
Yeah, exactly. I think, it's kind of who you know, I think.
Yeah.
And kind of taking those small risks, small steps. I guess that's what I would say is you got to start somewhere, and you can't go buy Amazon right off, right? You work your way up there. You make friends, right?
Yeah.
You take risks. And I think that's that staircase that'll get you to, having your own career that you steer. So.
Yeah. Well, and it sounds like you're doing this with partners and with other people who are potentially more knowledgeable. And I don't know the exact number, but I heard that Bezos only owns like 1% of Amazon, but that 1% is still worth like, I don't know, like $1 billion probably. So yeah, so it helps to team up and to do it with people who know a lot, and you can help them out as well as learn from them while you're doing stuff.
In some deals you can be the knowledgeable person that can run the things, and in other deals you got cash. So just finding where you fit in, I think, is so important. And I think, like you said before, and in reference to bigger pockets, which we've already talked about, but that know, like, and trust factor is always huge. And so definitely doing deals with family and friends and people that know you, it kind of gets you past that first hurdle of like, hey, can I work with this person or not? So that's definitely huge.
So are you doing any other kind of investing? Well, I mean, you got real estate, you got a potential business, so you're already doing a lot, but is there anything else you're doing at this point?
No, not at this point.
Yeah, plate's pretty full, sounds like.
Do you do any 401k?
Yeah. So we do have the 401k, that's invested. We have the HSAs. Those are invested.
Yeah.
I think my wife has a CD she hid from me. And then we've got, we both have Roth IRAs.
Okay.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, we'll move on to the final segment where we'll ask you 4 questions. We're going to call it the final 4 because that sounds really cool. But what's a top financial resource that you found for nurses, whether it's a book or a podcast?
Oh, man.
Or anything.
Yeah. For nurses specifically, I don't think that exists, but I'd say
now. Yeah. It's here.
Yeah. So yeah, we utilize Bigger Pockets as a podcast. I haven't really read any financial books at all. And my wife listens to Dave Ramsey. And so kind of that personal financial responsibility and living lean has, I think, really helped us a lot. That kick-ass guide, having your spouse and being on the same page, having similar goals, I think it's huge. And that's our success story. Just my wife and I having a clear communication about where we're going.
Yeah, that's huge. That's so powerful.
Yeah. And what was the last piece that you asked? Books, podcasts.
That kick-ass guide, that's Wendy and Jay Papazon?
That sounds right. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I believe that's who it is.
Yeah.
I think they did the one thing, right? Or Jay Papazon was involved in the one thing.
Yeah. Yep. As I think that's where it came from, is the one thing, and then they had some kind of guide.
All right, cool. What is number 2? What is something that you would tell yourself or wish you could tell yourself as a new grad?
As a new grad,
or an earlier self?
Yeah. So an earlier self, I would have said, work through school. Don't accrue debt as much as possible through school. So if you're going into nursing school, get your CNA. Maybe you get your LPN, work as an LPN, or have some kind of job where you're working. I really think that's student loans were something that my wife and I, we paid off very quickly in the first years of marriage. And I remember it was miserable and I hated it. And every time there was no money in our check account, and I'm like, what did you do? And she'd be like, I paid off so much. But in hindsight, that was so important to get out from underneath that, to move forward.
Yeah. Well, not only does it kind of help you with your finances, like you're working and you're getting experience that's going to help you out. Because I know I did the same thing. I worked as a nurse tech before I was working as an RN, and I was already comfortable with the people I was working with. So it saved a lot of stress and a lot of learning curve, just because I was already doing stuff, and I was a lot more familiar with the next step, I guess.
Yeah, I think a lot of the difficulty in school is the mental bandwidth of trying to figure out what nursing is. And if you already work with nurses and you already see what they are, then having a job and going to nursing school is not.
All right. Next is, what is your big goal for the next 12 months, and what can we do to help you get there?
Yeah, 12 months, we'd like to have this business purchased. That's kind of our goal at this point, and have half of our HELOC paid off for that business purchase. Yeah, we're kind of going back to rice and beans, I guess, for this. So.
Yeah, that's great. I'm Mexican. Rice and beans sounds great.
It's a staple.
Well, yeah, that's our 12-month. That's our 12-month goal.
So if last one here is, if you were to tell people one thing to do right now, what would it be? As far as like investing or something to just kind of get ahead.
So that plays on our name. So investing RN, we're nurses, but also right now RN. So what would you tell somebody to do right now?
Right now, I would go find someone who is doing that, who is starting or is investing, who has real estate, who has something outside of just the job, and go talk to them. And just make some connections with someone who's doing that. Because I feel like that's what I needed, was to kind of take that step forward. That happened to be my wife. And in my experience, actually, I've got another nursing friend who was, she was about to sell her house and buy a new house. And I said, stop, can you keep it? And she did. And it's been working out great for her. So I feel like a lot of times it's just reaching out, making a connection, someone to help you with the little things that you don't think you can do, but that they're not hard to do. You just gotta get the boldness to do the thing.
Yeah. Well, cool. Yeah. So if people are looking to just kind of see about your story and find anything about you, are you on any of the socials?
I'm on Strava.
What is that?
So if somebody wants to see how long you biked yesterday, they can see that.
I am not on any of the social media platforms. I don't have anything like that. So
that's all right. There's freedom in that.
Yeah, there is a ton of freedom. If anyone want to reach out to me, they could reach out to my wife on Facebook. She's Luke DeVoe, or I don't know if you guys put emails out on podcasts, but I'd be happy to talk to somebody on email.
We can put it in the description.
We can.
Sure.
Yeah. Thank you. It's been good. It's been good talking.
Yeah.
That was super fun.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Yeah.
We'll
So
end it there.
we're good now.
We'll end it there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Investing RN.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the podcast and leave a review if you enjoyed today's episode.
Be sure to share this episode with one other person and follow us on Instagram at investingrn.co if you have any other questions or topics you'd like us to cover in future episodes. Your input is super valuable and we love hearing from our listeners.
Until next time, remember, your financial well-being is a journey and we're here to guide you every step of the way. Keep investing in yourself and your future.